sometimes we can look at other people's lives and think that they're so easy and fun and, effortless and everything just goes well for them. But we have no idea what that person has experienced. And maybe you are on the receiving end where people kind of want your life and they want to be more like you or whatever. And you're like, but I've been through so much that I don't think you could probably handle. Like, respectfully, I don't think you could handle that. Because we all have our own lives and our own journeys and certain things that we're meant to experience, which are supposed to allow us and teach us to do other things in our life, and even to like teach other people about similar situations that we've been in. So I kind of lost my train of thought for a second, but I'm bringing it back. I just think comparing can be confusing, like comparing yourself to another person, and also like trying to sort of like, they call it destiny swapping, basically, where you want to basically become the other person, and down to how they look, how they dress, how they act, how they talk, their mannerisms, anything like that. You basically want to embody that because you want what that person has. But everybody is different. And I think people in similar fields, even if you're like the same job with somebody and you guys both work in like tech or whatever, you have completely different lives. And like, even I feel like that just goes without saying, right? Because we all get married at different points. Like, maybe this person wants to have children, maybe this person can't have children. Like all of our lives are just so different, and they all mean different things. And I think it's unrealistic to want to change your life with another person. And like, even if you think yourself about your life and the things that you've experienced and things that you've been through, and like, if people really admire you and want to sort of be similar to you, like, things and you've experienced things that you wouldn't want somebody to trade in with your life for, if that makes sense. Like, you've been through so much that you don't want to trade your life for, with another person, because it was just like so difficult to get through. So I think it's interesting when we can compare ourselves to other people. And also I think another aspect of comparison, which I've experienced with like some other people, just through like social media, like seeing how people react to certain things. And so sometimes, like, if we see a friend, or even like, just say it's a celebrity who is posting like videos, they're on videos and pictures, they're on vacation all the time, and there will be people saying like not to compare yourself to that because there's no way it can be real. But maybe sometimes it is real, and that is just their life. Like, they get to travel for, like, if it's for work or something, and they get to go to all these beautiful places and have a great time. Like, maybe that just their social media maybe is just their real life. And I think comparing ourselves to that and bringing them down to make ourselves feel better, that almost in a way that, at least the people I've seen do it, they were unhappy. And, saying that somebody else is probably deeply unhappy is just like I think it's like a self something. I forget what it's called, but it's basically confirming your own feelings to yourself, even if something is not true, just to make yourself feel better. Self-fulfilling prophecy, I think that's what it's called. Either way, I've just noticed that a lot. I think under the whole umbrella of comparing yourself to another person is unhealthy, can become unhealthy. I don't think it's inherently bad, because sometimes we can compare ourselves to another person, and really use that as fuel to be like our best selves, and to be inspired and really admire right in front of the car. I think he's sitting down there. But there are ways that comparison can really be inspirational, and we can use that, because we admire the other person, we can really use that to be our best selves. And I think that's how, that's the healthiest way to do it. But yeah, I've experienced a lot where people, will want to copy me with a lot of the things that I do, will honestly like go behind my back, think I don't realize that they've copied, like studied me to a T to copy me and do what I do. but you can't do what I do. I can't do what that person does, because we're our own people and we do things. We have our own way of seeing the world. We have our own way of like designing things with just, with how our minds work. And it's also what I talk about a lot. It's just living in your authenticity and loving yourself for who you are, because there's things that, I do that other people wouldn't be able to copy. Like, I also can't copy what, like Doja Cat does, because Doja Cat does it in her own way and she has her own energy. Like, who can't copy what Meg the Stallion does? Like, because we are all different. We are all different in our own ways. And I feel like, again, that kind of goes without saying, but I think sometimes we can see what other people have, think it is unapproachable and unaccomplishable, if that's a word, for us. But, if we can admire something in somebody else, we can embody that ourselves with getting in that, like, that sort of mindset and that type of energy. Not saying copy it, but being in that, just, that umbrella, that frequency, whatever it is, wavelength, whatever you want to call it, just to be, similar, but in your own way. Like, again, if you admire that somebody travels a lot and like that is just what they do for work and they're always posting and they just look like they're having a fun time, like, go be like a travel influencer, travel blogger, or, whatever it is, just so you can travel. If that is something that you really admire, being able to travel, see beautiful places, be in the sun, in the warm weather all the time. So there are ways that you can make that happen for yourself in your life. So yeah, I think comparing yourself in that way is healthy. And again, that can lead you to what works for you. But I think destiny swapping, copying, all of that stuff can be really, really dangerous. And I think that can also come with a lot of bad karma. There's also a lot of, I don't know if they're ravens, they're black birds with like bluish iridescent on their necks. The fur, the feathers. It's feathers, right? It's not fur. But they keep like flying like super close to my car. They're cool. So I just kind of lost what I was saying, but let me see also from my journal what I wrote. I just wrote some things because there was a lot I was really thinking, and the reason that I do like to write things down is because I think I said this in one of my first videos, like bringing it from my head to my mouth, just the process is just mixed up and it doesn't come out of my mouth the way I think it. But I've been getting better with that with practice, and with talking more. So yeah, there was just a lot I was thinking about this topic. Again, I've experienced a lot myself. And just noticed how people, a lot about social media is like to bring another person down to make yourself feel better. And I just think that, that can create very unhealthy, very toxic behaviors and routines and just like mentalities that, just don't really help in the end, because I just don't like bringing somebody else down to make somebody else feel better. And I've noticed that a lot through social media, and just like comparison, like I was saying, that sometimes people's lives online and the way that they say that they live and the things that they talk about are actually accurate, and they could just be that happy. Like, sometimes there isn't like something that somebody's lying about, something that somebody's hiding. And also, why do you want to spend that much time worrying about if somebody is lying about something? Like, that's their life, that's whatever it is for them. Like, if they want to lie about it, like, it is what it is. Sometimes we lie and we omit information because sometimes we're not ready to talk about the truth or the reality of the situation. So like that, yeah, that's my 2 cents on comparison, but I don't remember where this started. My first note was, your journey isn't like anyone else's. And yeah, so just honestly relating this back to the things that I normally talk about, just accepting yourself for who you are, loving your journey, loving your life, your experiences, and finding gratitude for those experiences that have shaped you into who you are now, because you wouldn't be yourself in this point in time, in this second that you're watching this, if you hadn't have gone through and had all of the experience that you have had. And yes, sometimes those were really difficult, really, really painful. They were like exhausting, draining, all of the above. But that has created the mentality that you have, the stamina, the courage, the bravery, the strength that you have to keep going, because you've gotten through all of those situations in the past before. So it's really important to accept your life, your journey for what it is, because we never know what other people are experiencing. We don't know if another person has experienced homelessness and, now they look all bright and shiny because they've gotten out of it and they've really helped, pulled themselves out of it, or they had a community to help them, whatever it is. But we never know what people are experiencing or have experienced. So I think I had a couple. Oh, another part of this was that sometimes we can look at things, in hindsight. Yeah. In hindsight, we can look at things that we used to really want with gratitude that we didn't get them because we were made for something better. And when I say better, I just mean like for ourselves. Like sometimes I wanted to be in situations, or I wanted to be friends with certain people, or whatever it was. I wanted to be in a certain situation and I wasn't. And like looking back on that, I'm so glad that I wasn't there and that thing didn't work out, because it led me to something else that led to something else working out, if that makes sense. And that final thing that got me really, really happy, and that, I took all those detours and like things that didn't work out that I wanted to work out, brought me to my end goal or whatever it was. And that was the best thing for me. And yeah, sometimes we don't see that. When we really, really want something, we can't see the bigger picture, because all we can see is us wanting that one thing in that point in time. And we don't see where it might lead us. Like if we really want a decision to be a yes, and that decision is a no, like if we're in a situation with somebody and they tell us no, without really having discernment for the greater picture in life, without understanding that, we can get really, really down and upset that thing didn't work out, when maybe it wasn't supposed to work out. Maybe it's also supposed to work out a year from now, when you've had more time to learn and experience things, and then you can look at that same thing with a different mindset and a different, basically, pair of lenses. So it might work out, a year from now. You never know. Because there have been times, like, there was something I did, like it was a partnership I did in October, and I'm doing it again in April. And I feel like I even look at that same situation with a new set of lens and like more gratitude for that thing, because like I'm just so appreciative that those people want to work with me again. So, and depending on who's like at the event, whatever, it could lead me down to a completely different, like, I don't know, anything could happen from that event. I feel like in any situation, you can meet anybody who will help you along your journey. And I think I talked about this in my last video, maybe. But yeah, when I did an event, I met somebody who was like, I thought was very similar to Archangel Michael. So I was like, I really met an angel today. And that was a really, really cool experience. And if I didn't really take a chance on myself to go to that event, I was sort of hesitant a little bit at first. I wasn't like hesitant. I was just nervous because it was like with parking was stressing me out. And finding like street parking, that was tough. So there were a lot of things that like I was sort of worrying myself about that didn't really matter in the end. And I ended up having like a great experience, and I met like a friend there too. And it was a great time. So I think accepting and appreciating all of the experiences that you have that, again, maybe you were a little bit nervous about, or some things that you wanted to work out that didn't, and vice versa, things that you didn't know would work out actually worked out so well for you, I think we need to take all of those with gratitude and, you know, with appreciation of how they worked out, because everything is always working out for our best interest, you know, everybody, all of us individually in the world. And I think that when we can really see that and appreciate that for what it is, we take away the need to grab onto it and to hold on to it, because we feel more trusting of how everything is going out. We don't feel as restricted to the outcome and how that thing is going to play out, because we know it's going to play out for our best interest. So it's easier to let go and to let that thing happen how it's supposed to. And, you know, when you're letting go and when you're allowing stuff to happen in your life, and you're like also appreciating everything that happened in your life, you wouldn't trade your life with anybody else's. I feel like I'm at that point too, where sometimes, even if I was in like high school, you know, or college, and I would just see somebody like, and I would just think, why, like, how are they so happy? Like, why can't I be like that? And why couldn't my life have been like that? But looking at it now, like looking back, 10 years, crazy, that I'm glad nothing that I ever wanted to work out, I'm glad that none of that stuff worked out. I was going to say in a roundabout way, but I'm glad that none of that stuff actually worked out. Because it's gotten me here, and it's gotten me to, I don't know if I would have even gotten here. Maybe it would have been like a different way. Maybe it would have been longer. Maybe it would have been short. I don't know. I honestly don't know. And I don't think we'll ever know, because I think that's kind of life, unless we figure out who we are in another universe or something like that. But yeah, I think it's just, again, super important to accept your life for what it is, your journey for what it is, and, you know, your personality, love yourself for who you are and what you bring to the table, all of your skills, your mindset, even the things that people look up to you for, and really appreciate them, because that is what makes you you, and that is what creates such a unique life experience for you that you wouldn't want to trade with anybody else. Again, I think I've gotten to that point where I don't want to trade my life with anybody else. When years ago I probably would have, because I was like, why is everything so hard for me? But everything was hard for me so I could kind of help people get through it who are going through it now, going through a lot of what I've been through. And, you know, I guess that is my way of just, I guess, helping in the world. I don't know, or whatever my purpose is. So yeah, I don't want to change my life with anybody else's. And I don't really focus much on if anybody else's life on social media is real or fake or not, or I don't really care, because I'm so comfortable in who I am. And I think, yeah, when you get to a point where you're really, really comfortable in your life, you're not really worrying about anybody else, because you are just focusing on yourself, what the universe is telling you to do, what your intuition, what your inner guide is telling you to do. That's just my stomach. I'm very hungry. Yeah, when you get to that point, you are just focusing on yourself and what feels right to you to do. You're not really focused on what anybody else is doing. And I also have another video about talking about, what do I want to say? How do I want to say? 10 journal prompts to really do the deep work to understand yourself and get to know yourself better on, like, again, a deeper level, where you're really understanding yourself at your core, the things that you love, the things that, you know, make you you, your experiences that have made you you, and all that kind of stuff. I forget the rest of the journal prompts, but I'll tag that somewhere on the screen, because I think it's really helpful. It honestly helped me with understanding myself and appreciating myself. And I think when you understand and accept yourself, you're not comparing yourself to anybody, again, in that unhealthy way. You can take inspiration from other people and really think, wow, I like the way they did that. I like the way they think. Like, what if that makes me think of this. So I think there's always ways to take that and to be inspired by other people and to do it in your own way. But I think that really, really comes from understanding who you are, because you're not really focused on trends or, you know, what's cool right now, what's happening right now. You're thinking a bigger picture of, like, how you can leave your mark on the world. So, and then at the same time, you don't want to change your life with it. Like, yeah, change your life with anybody else's. Because you really appreciate your life and everything you've been through, everything that's gotten you here, and everything that is to come for yourself, which is really exciting. Like, we all have different, you know, futures that are going to lead us. You know, maybe you might cross paths with other people that, like, you're sort of inspired by, which would be really, really cool. But yeah, we're all on our different paths, which is, the world seems so small yet so big at the same time. So I think it's really interesting. You know, everybody's got their own way. Billions of people have their own way of looking at the world and seeing things in just a slightly different way, which is really incredible. And I think that is something to be really, really, like, reflective and really happy about. So yeah, that nobody sees the world the way you do. That's very, very cool. So I think you should take that and run with it and get to know yourself, love yourself, understand yourself, and appreciate yourself for what you have and what you can give to the world. So yeah, I think that was it. Again, I'm very hungry and it's getting a little bit dark. It's just after 6 o'clock. So it looks like there's a storm coming, but yeah, that was everything for today. I had some notes. I was having a little bit trouble reflecting and, you know, sort of putting things on paper. I had a lot of thoughts, and yeah, I feel like disconnected. Like, I get into weird modes where sort of I feel disconnected from, like, thinking. I just get really into the tasks at hand, which I've talked about before, removing the logic. I mean, removing the emotion from what you have to do, and which I've done, and I got to get back into the emotion so I can reflect. So I'm going to take some time to do that tonight. I hope you're taking time for yourself to, you know, really reflect on your journey, reflect on who you are, appreciate yourself, and appreciate everything you've been through and everything you've accomplished. I hope you're doing that with your tea. I'm going to finish my tea. I'm going to head home, and then I will see you guys on Tuesday, because today is, technically it's Friday. On YouTube, it's Sunday. I will see you guys on Tuesday. So, bye for now.